Good morning. I'm a baby boomer, so I still read the print edition of our local area newspaper, the Portland Press Herald, every morning. Perhaps not surprisingly, the aftermath of the Black Lives Matter protests last weekend here and elsewhere, and the rise and fall of COVID in the state of Maine have monopolized the headlines. The phrases that dominated were police reform, I can't breathe, and defund now, alongside essential workers, social distancing, and contact tracing. There is nothing wrong with focusing on the issues that confront us locally and nationally. In many ways, that is as it should be. After all, we have ignored systemic racism for far too long and have a lot of ground to make up. Likewise, if we don't all start wearing masks and standing a good 6 feet apart from the person ahead of us in the checkout line, COVID will rebound, and again we'll be counting ventilators and available ICU beds. However, to focus only on the problems that impact us most directly is to be narrow-minded and myopic, belying a certain sense of entitlement. What is important is only what impacts me. In our news coverage, where are words like hunger, poverty, overrun, and surge of cases? Where are the reminders that we live in a world extending beyond our borders, much of it less affluent and far less prepared to take on a global pandemic? Before our own agendas consume us, let's intentionally become aware of what is happening elsewhere. Let's remember that Brazil has over 800,000 confirmed cases of COVID, second only to the US. Let's remember the courage of epidemiologists and healthcare professionals who have pushed back against the government mimicking President Trump as it seeks to minimize the impact of COVID. And Doctors Without Borders personnel, who sometimes can only hold hands as they put their own lives at risk to stem the tide of the pandemic. Let's remember the gravediggers who have buried 42,000 Brazilians thus far. Let's remember war-torn Syria now preparing for COVID. Let's remember how aid and supplies are restricted and exploited and how thousands live in close quarters in refugee camps. Let's remember the young volunteers who write stories, compose songs, and create fun activities for children, all centered around measures to protect against COVID, as well as mine risk education. Let's remember India, where 10,000 new cases of COVID were reported in a single day last week, and where hospitals are turning away patients for lack of space. Let's remember the compassionate Indian Samaritans who distribute kits to indigenous families in New Delhi. 5 kilograms of rice, 5 kilograms of wheat, 1 liter of oil, 1 kilogram of sugar, 250 grams of tea, 100 grams of chili powder, 100 grams of coriander powder, 100 grams of turmeric, a kilogram of lentils, 3 bars of bathing soap, 3 bars of detergent soap, and 1 bottle of hand sanitizer. Hopelessly small gifts as the pandemic surges, but I pray they will be like the loaves and fishes story in the gospel. As we do the important work around here that has dominated the media this week, let's do it without a sense of entitlement, as if police reform and COVID in Maine are the only important issues. Rather, let's do it recognizing that we are not alone, that everyone in the world is facing unprecedented challenges, most of which will never impact us directly, but all of which will, for better or worse, transform our world. Let's act locally to some extent, but always think globally.